I wish I had another phone or a way to show you some of the stuff that I'm gonna show you later on in this episode. Um, However, this episode is inspired from someone that posed a question to me about my video content through the dark web. And I don't know for sure if this person, like in real time, I know you guys may not understand this, but in real time, I don't know if this person really has this question. In real time, I believe that this was more so a question posed on the astral realm, meaning that in real time, I don't know if this person is thinking this question, but this is what I got from watching this particular individual's videos, who I think this person is a subscriber to my channel. But if not, the video content is still dope. And I want to kind of like not really talk about some of the stuff that she was talking about on her video, but kind of talk about what I got from it and what it inspired me to talk about today based on some of the stuff that she was saying. And where I was getting at is that I think that she's a subscriber in my channel. Her videos come up a lot in my feed when I'm just doing video work and stuff like that. So that kind of gives me an indication that she may have watched a couple of videos or something like that. And what I was gaining from the question that she posed me on the astral realm was about my consistency with video content and why I don't seem to have consistent video content at times, meaning that like I'll come up with a really dope topic and then it'll just be like, boom, I'm going to another topic type of thing. It's like, why didn't you build on that topic and why didn't you, expound on that topic? And that's a really great question. I've asked myself that question a lot of times, and I came to the conclusion that, of course, some of it is going to be the fact that I have a lot of Piscean energy in my chart, so we move with like a flow and things of that nature. I've never considered myself a businessman, even though I've been a part of and been a partner in several major businesses that made like six figures, stuff like that. But I'm not bragging about that. I'm just saying like I've never considered myself a businessman though, even though I pretty much have done well in my life off business. I mean, I've had very little employment in the matrix, and most of my life I've spent, trying to make money and help myself to become a better person and having that free time to study metaphysics and knowledge and things of that nature. But why? But why is the content inconsistent? And it's because I'm an annuity on the spiritual realm, and this is my belief. I have very strong beliefs on the spiritual realm, and on the spiritual realm, I believe that I'm an annuity, and I'm moving out of that. That's probably why I'm making this content. I may get a chance to talk about some of that on this episode, or hopefully in the future. But I'm an annuity, and I'm going to explain to you why. It's because I visa a code. I believe that this whole thing, this whole matrix, is based on numbers. Um, I believe that our calendar is faulty. There's a lot of things I believe. I believe that the time that we think it is, it's not the real time, or the year is what I'm speaking of. There's a lot of things that I believe. I believe that the zodiac that many people identify with is not correctly mapped out. And it's like, well, how can you say such things when you have such powerful people that could easily go against you and debate you? And it's like, when you really start putting out information like this, you'll notice that they won't come out and debate you. If they do, it'll always be ignorance, but they won't sit down and have a real debate because they know that this calendar was drawn up based upon other calendars. And when you start to research the other calendars, you'll start to realize a gap. Like when a calendar starts, meaning that, say for instance, we start with 1 AD. Why did it start there? What was going on in 1 AD? Go back and research it for yourself. What was going on in the year 1 AD? Why did they choose to start in the year 1 AD and start time there? Wasn't it stuff going on before that? Yes or no? I mean, and of course, in history, you'll research and you'll find, yeah, it was stuff going on. And that takes you to what they call the time of, I think it's called before Christ. I think AD is like Adonis or something of that nature. I used to look all this stuff up and what it actually means, but when you research the term AD, it goes into like Adonis, into a different history. When you go into the BC, that goes into before Christ, supposedly. So it's safe to say that when they talk about AD, this is supposed to be after the time of Jesus' birth, which most historians say is 2,000 years ago. So you telling me that 1 AD started with this man's birth and everything that was going on before this man's birth was a different time. Why? See, that's the thing you got to ask yourself. And within the calendar, we can go into the Jewish calendar or the Hebrew calendar, and that has 13 months. So that's a different calendar. You start to ask, well, why does it have 13 months and our calendar only has 12 months? And that takes you into a different form of time. And what I've realized is that when you start counting time, um, it's a count. When you start any count, you become responsible for that count, and over time it becomes very mystical, and these counts turn into portals. See, many people don't keep up on counts. Like, you could do this on a personal level. Like, for instance, if you tell yourself a basic count, I'm going to take my children to school every day for the school year, 5 days a week school year. Say, for instance, the school year lasts 20, well, not 20, that's too long, but maybe 10 months. Just throwing that out there. 10-month school year, 2 months off or whatever for different holidays and things of that nature. So you're talking about 10 months, 5 days a week. So you're saying essentially you're going to take your children to school 50 times. Follow that count. If you follow, I mean, it's more than that. So, I mean, I don't know the exact number. If you're saying you're taking them, yeah, 5 day, like 5 times a week, you're going to take them and you're going to do this for 10 months. It's what, 4 weeks in a month. So it's 40 months that you're counting times five. So there'll be 200 days, something like that. So you're saying you're going to count up to 200. This is where I started at, just basic stuff. And you'll start to notice every time you get into the count, follow it. So the first day it'll be like one way. And go read the numerology associated with each number. And then second day, you take them to school, there'll be a little bit different energy. And you'll start to notice a portal opening. And your life will start to change as more you do it. Every time you do it, you take your children to school, then you go to work or do whatever you do after that. You'll start to notice changes based upon that count, that because you're doing it every single day or 3 times a week, any type of count that you're keeping on a consistent basis that can line up with planets. This creates a count. So like the sun moves like 1 degree per day or something like that, but then like Mars moves like 1 degree every 2 days. So if you do something like every 2 days, you line it up with Mars. And this is stuff that I started learning from following the planets. If you do something once a day, you're lining up with the sun. So I'm saying all this to lead up to a point. So I became an annuity because I started keeping up with counts, and I noticed that when you get back to one, and this gets deep because there's different levels to this, but any count, when you get back to one, it always turns into an annuity or a beginning or a period. And this gets deep when you follow units in sports, but I don't want to take her there yet, but I am going to take her into a little bit of that and then shut down. I want to talk about the spiritual part first because she wants to know why I'm doing this, and I'm going to talk about the mundane aspect after that. So this is why I'm doing this stuff on a spiritual level, or why I'm living this way on a spiritual level, is because I started to count. It's like, well, stop counting, or like, because it's like, because a lot of people judge me, my family and stuff, and they're like saying the same kind of the same stuff that she addressed, and that's why I want to make a video because I'm sure people out there view what the problem as well. And it's like why can't you be more consistent? Because when you start to, well, when I started to visa these different annuities, it helped me to see that, and this is not judging anyone, that our reality is very what word am I looking for? It's very primordial. We have not really, as humans, when I say we as humans, if you want to consider yourself that, or even beings that feel like they're higher level beings, like extraterrestrials or whatever you consider yourself, that too, have not really experienced on this planet, based upon the counts that we have kept up, something that's called, what I was taught in metaphysics, that's called unlimited progress. And unlimited progress is when you get to a count and you get to a point with a count to where you don't have to count anymore, and things begin to flow for you naturally, consistently. You begin to do business because this is what she's saying. Like you don't have like like you got to make consistent videos. So you can get business and clients to come in and things of that nature. Is like I haven't started yet. This is where I'm getting at in my mind. I mean, I've made a decent amount of money on this channel and stuff like that, but it's not even really about this channel. As I move on into my ministry and my work, my mission, it's not even really about this channel only, like singly. It's more to it than even that. But I'm saying even with this channel, I haven't even started yet because of the count. There has to be a consistency when you move into what's called unlimited progress. Because anything that's unlimited means that it's moving on its own pattern. There's no person that has to hit the button to keep this going. See, there in this reality, you don't know this. Your reality will melt down if certain people don't hit the button and do certain stuff. You don't know this. I know some major people in this reality, meaning that like I've met people that are on some deep spiritual shit. On some deep spiritual shit. And what I mean by that is that they know that they're like their existence and what they know is keeping a reality together. And if they get amnesia, die, or decide to just quit whatever it is that they know and they're doing, a whole reality is going to melt down. Millions of people are going to die. Thousands of people are going to die, or whatever. Something catastrophic is going to happen if they get off of this moment that they're into. What I call a moment, when you have to do something consistently to keep a reality going. Only yogis and high level metaphysical teachers will really understand what I'm talking about on this. They have lived it, I'm saying, not just hearing about it. There's many, like movies and examples I can use to talk about that, but I don't want to really go there with that. I'm basically explaining that a person that, and it's not that you're better, you've started to count, is what happened. You started doing something, could have been meditating, praying. See, I learned how to count really good from meditating. That's where I learned how to count that really good because you have to count well to meditate. People don't know that. They think meditation is just breathing and you may get tired, go to sleep, get back, try to do it again, try to go and travel and astral travel and all the good stuff you hear about, but you're not doing any of that if you don't know how to keep up a count. I'll tell you that right now. If you don't know how to keep up a count, you're never going to experience the higher levels of what it is that most people want to get out of meditation, which is like abundance and to be able to tap into their higher self and be able to change reality without physically talking to people and doing a lot of stuff and just creating a continuum. They call it a space-time continuum. And from my research is when time, when you go into a moment of time that's like repetitive and it just keeps happening like a record. You let it play for so long and it goes back to the beginning. You let it play for so long and it goes back. And it's you locked into this time. And this is not unlimited progress. This is based upon an annuity. And this is the reality that we've been living in, and it's very barbaric. I mean, we think that we're living on a high level, but we're not. And it starts with our leaders, influencing them. So, that's why I really don't game to get a lot of views. And I noticed that about her too, as well. You as well. Wild Wisdom is the name of her channel. By the way, you should check that out. But I noticed that about her channel as well. Like, she doesn't get a lot of views, and she's not in it for that. She's talking about deep stuff like scripting, how to script your reality without, like, basically how to turn your reality into a movie. And I know what she's talking about, so I'm getting a lot from it. Like, I love it. The stuff she's talking, she's using crystals. And check it out. Her channel's called Wild Wisdom, and she inspired everything I'm talking about right now. But so that we live in this continuum right now, where it's just like a broken record. Stuff that you're seeing going on has happened. Like I don't want to really get too political, so I'm not going to talk too much about what's going on in world events because that's not what I'm here to do. But a lot of stuff you see going on in the world right now has happened. It can be very predicted through numbers and through meditation. It can be changed and altered and updated as well. We don't have to repeat. We don't have to reincarnate. That's right. You don't have to reincarnate. You can. I forgot the actual spiritual term for this, but somebody may know it out there. There is a term for this, but you can incarnate into the future. You don't have to reincarnate. That means to go back because you did something wrong. Now you can incarnate into the future and actually meet your future self at a certain point and take on the body of your future self and become younger. There's yogis that I have met that have done this. Deep, deep, deep people, men and women, that have took on different bodies. Essentially, this is the process. This is the goal. This is stuff that they didn't tell you about our reality. Is where I'm getting at. There's stuff about our reality that we're able to do and that we're supposed to do to move on, and we never did it. That's why we keep dying and stuff. Like there's a cure for death on this reality. Serious, professional cure for that. I'm not just talking about your witch's brew and mix up some stuff. And, and you're sick and you feel better. I'm speaking on it on a deeper level than that, to the point where accidents, potential uh, uh, situations where you may come into a life or death situation, you can kind of like get past that before it even happens, and even to a point where you'll start saving other people and be able to see if this is going to happen to someone else, like your loved one or somebody that you're close to. So I'm just saying all that to say that this is called an annuity. And I started, so first I was just studying this on a spiritual level, and I wasn't following sports. It was just all spiritual. I was just counting, meditating, and, I was walking. I started walking gates and counting my footsteps and things of that nature. And I'm running out of time, so if it cuts out, I'll kind of come in and do a part two and next, like, as soon as I can, because it says I'm running out of time, but I got to keep going because I'm feeling the spirit. But so I'm just walking and coming up with these meditations. But eventually, what happened was is that I started studying sports because I had got into YouTube, and business changed on YouTube at the point where I got into it. And my channel was sold to a gaming network at the time. See, my channel was tied into contracts, deep UCC contracts, where I was getting money through a straw man, my identification, that I took control from the government and controlled it myself. And that's how I first started my channel and was getting, like that's some of the videos you see. A lot of the finance was coming from that in the beginning. Then at some point on this channel, what happened was is that this channel was sold to a gaming network, and my credit and everything that I built up from my strawman name was sold, and I was paid out for it and traded out for it in a very malicious way, really, to be honest with you, to the government. But I'm not going to here to address any of that political stuff right now. I'm just explaining what happened. So eventually it got into a gaming scenario, and it was sold to a gaming network. Then that went on. Then eventually I did a tour about a year ago. After it was sold to the gaming network, kind of started noticing the views got wild and everything got crazy, because that's when I began to take total ownership over it. From the point of just getting loans, what I was doing through the straw man and paying them back and doing all of that, it's just like I just was doing everything out of pocket. I found a way to finance, to self-finance through some financiers, to finance daily the channel. And I'm still, to this day, this is how I got to the point of counting out millions of dollars and participating in the World Cup and citing stuff we're doing right now through the channel. But that's how I got through this point. It started with the first World Cup, and well, the first World Cup I participated in with this channel was in 2014, and that's when it was first sold to the gaming network, right? So that's when I started following numbers and the annuity, and I started learning about the annuity on a banking level, and that's when it got deep. I started being able to count billions, if not trillions, of dollars in business, and being able to see my part in trillions of dollars. That's an amazing gift to be able to see that. But I began to be able to see my part in millions, if not trillions of dollars worth of deals, and be able to extract and see my profit, my loss, things of that nature. And the annuity, which is when the 1 to 0 hits, and I'm going to talk about that next in the will and the spirit of the universe, hopefully, like if I'm granted the time. I'm always saying that because you never know how this is going to go, because remember, it's an annuity. That's where I'm kind of getting at. Like an annuity can drop, and I have to move to that. Firemen understand this type of stuff. They're codes, man. See, the fire department works with the UCC. I mean, with the NSA, which works with UCC codes, and they get signals, and that's what makes them move their agenda to, like, they may be doing one thing and they get a run. Or see, my father was a fireman at one point, They get a run. They got to go just take their concentration totally off of whatever they was on and go that way. Just imagine that. Like you was into something deep, and all of a sudden you got to go boom and go to another mode every day though, constantly. That's a takes skill mentally to do that. Even though it seems like you're very inconsistent, that's how people view me because that's how my life works. Like I'm into electricity, I got money and energy and things of that nature. So I'm kind of similar to a fireman, like as far as the way I operate. Not that I'm a fireman at all, but I'm saying electricity operates the same. Water operate. I do a lot of work with water. I have money invested in water. Water operates the same. I have credit and money actually invested in water, and it operates the same. It moves and it can just take another direction through a water route. And it's going that way, that quick. And I understand that. So don't think that it's an inconsistency in living. A lot of people are like that. But you can actually get to the point where, for me, it started to become amazing now because it's like a scheduled annuity. That's why I say I think I'm moving out of the annuity now into what's called the banking realm of the spiritual world. And I'll explain that more. That's when you get into like 2 points in scores, as far as sports scores, you get into like 2 points, or stocks, you get into like digit stocks. Because there's single digit stocks, double digit stocks, triple digit stocks. I think they even have like quadruple, even like 4 letter stocks or 4 number stocks. And all of that stuff is going into different ways of understanding numbers. And because I can read up to 11 numbers in a consistent pattern as well, which is another story, but I'm up to 11. So I'm able to read 11 keys or numbers on a consistent level and able to get the message from that pretty clearly at this point. And I learned that through the annuity. So that's the gift as far as being able to communicate. But of course, there comes a time where you got to become consistent in what you do. And like I said, when you move into unlimited progress, and I think she'll understand. That's why I'm really directing this video towards Wild Wisdom, because she's talking about scripting. So I know you understand what I'm talking about. Some people out here may be kind of lost, but you'll get it. Watch her videos too, and with mine, because I believe her videos and my videos go good together, really, honestly, as far as understanding this world. But you'll be able to make a movie. She understands that through numbers and codes. And it will turn into an annuity or daily annuity where you feel like you're doing one thing, you got to jump into something else. But eventually, a picture is going to start to draw itself. The annuities will start to paint a picture. That's the goal. Every time you start over, put a pin in that. That's what I do. Where you were. So when you come back, and you got to get a good memory. Don't write a lot of stuff down. Warning you. That's just opening up more problems. If you forget it, see, that's why people, they're like, man, I want to write a business plan and be a business person professional. I tell people do all of that, but guess what? You opening up another portal for other beings, individuals to come in and mess with your scripting. And you start writing stuff down. So if you like just try to remember as much as you can, and if you forget it, always tell yourself you were supposed to, and that gets wild too. That's why I love the name of her channel, Wild Wisdom, because this is wild wisdom. It really is. But that gets wild as well because, of course, you may forget stuff and then come back, and it's like you start to seem very inconsistent, like you're not living on a pattern or whatever the case may be because of the fact that you're forgetting certain stuff. But just remember, you eventually it'll make sense because you'll train yourself to start to remember more. You won't forget as much. And you'll take your time in life, and life will become more. You'll appreciate your moments. So this is going to shut down in seconds. So what I'm going to say is that don't feel like it's inconsistent. The information that you're seeing on this channel, watch. Like there's a lot of videos and information I come back to in patterns. So I suggest you watch certain videos, and when you see topics that are related to some of the stuff that I said in maybe one video, you may go down the script of my videos and see topics where I actually got a topic of something that I said, and you'll know that I'm going back into some information that I talked about, because this is a book. Since the last thing that happened, we got tied into this great gaming network. Last year when I went on my tour, we got tied into what's called a gold gambling network. We're tied into gold and diamonds and stuff like that, and other currencies as well. And we were blessed to be able, I don't like to use the term blessed, but blissed, like my mother taught me, to be able to get granted this through the universe from working with some people out west in the Navajos. So we're tied into that secretly. Her secret ties with that as well, and that even took me to deeper levels of understanding some of this stuff that I'm telling you. So I'm operating to me very sanely, even though it seems insane a lot of times. But I'm operating very clear. My own use the term sanely insane because, as you guys know, I'm insane on another level. But I'll say I'm operating very clear mindedly because those terms are flipped. Sane and insane, those terms can be abused. But I'm operating very clear mindedly. It's going to shut down. I appreciate you guys for watching and things of that nature. And just know what you can get from it. It may be just something that you could get from some. These are channels. I always tell people if you just look at them in the beginning as each video is a channel, you won't really expect a lot. That's the best way to look at it. You won't expect a lot. You'll just get what you need to get out of it for that day. Because that's the best thing that I like to do for people is really just have a talk about spirituality because you don't have that outlet here on this matrix too much, even on YouTube, just to talk about it daily. And you can go back